Joining us for breaking news tonight, I'm Richard Ransom. We have a lot to get to, but first, an exclusive interview with Ja Morant. It just cleared from ESPN after we learned that he was suspended for 8 games by the NBA. That suspension will be retroactive, meaning he will only miss 2 more games before he's eligible to play again. ESPN wrapped up an interview with Ja Morant just a short time ago that we've been given an exclusive right to share with you now. All right, here it is, a 2-minute excerpt of the rest. The rest will be shown later on SportsCenter on ESPN. Here it is.
You're 23 years old. You're a superstar. You're one of the faces of the NBA. What has the last 10 or 11 days been like for you, and how are you doing?
Me personally, I feel mentally good that I haven't, been in, many years. I'm in a space where I'm, very comfortable. I was constantly, talking to therapists. I've been doing, Reiki treatment. I've been doing anxiety breathing, different stuff to, help me manage that and, release, all that stuff from my body.
But when did you say, I'm gonna do this and it's necessary?
After I made a, terrible mistake, being inside a club and, went live. I put myself in, a bad position. And also it's, my daughter. There's times where she even tell me if she's, had a bad day. And I feel like, if she can tell me that, then, I can be able to go and talk to somebody as well.
You at the spot, Shotgun Willie's. I've been there. You are holding a gun. And we both know how dangerous that can be. Whose gun were you holding?
Well, the gun wasn't mine. It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence, but I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show everybody who Ja really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative.
Again, you can see the full interview you can watch on ESPN SportsCenter tonight. Now let's catch you up on the NBA's actions today. The league says the suspension of Ja is for conduct detrimental to the league. It's all over that live Instagram feed with Ja showing a gun at a strip club near Denver on March 4th. This is right after the Grizzlies lost to the Nuggets. We're told Morant met with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver earlier today after receiving counseling at a program in Florida. Morant will be eligible to return to the Grizzlies against the Dallas Mavericks on March 20th. So let's get some perspective on all of this with Clayton Collier, who's been covering Ja really since he came to Memphis, including this most recent dust-up. First, your thoughts about what Ja had to say. He seemed pretty contrite to me.
Yeah, I mean, I saw somebody that was apologetic, that was remorseful. I mean, as you mentioned, he met with Commissioner Adam Silver today, and he used the word contrite. He used the word remorseful to talk about what he called a reckless action, from Ja and his behavior over the last, couple of weeks overall. The hope is obviously that he moves forward from here, and as he said, that we'll see who the real Ja is moving forward after this.
Very good. So now I want to ask you about the NBA's punishment for him. Do you think it was fair, not fair, too harsh? I mean, there were people who were predicting we may not see him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there were. Now, it's important to remember that 8-game suspension, it's retroactive, meaning the 6 games. Tonight is his 6th game of what the Grizzlies said he'd be away from the team. That really just meant that the NBA was coming in with the actual suspension where it was going to be without pay. So that was the NBA moving in on that. But it's important to know the NBA said they conducted an investigation and they could not conclude that it was his gun, that he brought it into the club, that he had it on a team plane or in any NBA facility. And the only thing that they conclude is that for a short time he was flashing that gun on Instagram Live. And so that's why it became conduct detrimental to the league and to his team. So overall, for that to only end up being an extra 2 games through this weekend, I think is fair. Being able to be eligible on March 20th. We don't think he's going to play that day, though. ESPN also reporting that there's going to be a ramp-up period. While he was in counseling, he was not playing basketball, was not practicing as well. So the thought is that there's going to be a short ramp-up time, maybe later next week, before we see Ja actually on the floor, but eligible to be back with the team on Monday.
Which makes sense. And quickly, what do you think is the, I don't know, the unspoken meaning behind all of this? A collective, I don't know, crossing of the fingers, hopefully that this is Ja's last time and the lesson's been learned and we can focus on playing basketball now?
Yeah, I think everybody's crossing their fingers, whether that's the Grizzlies, the league, Nike, his family, himself as well. I think it's important to point out that, this isn't the first incident that we've been talking about over the last couple months. And throughout those, we've heard from Ja that that's fake, that that's not true. This has been disproven. There was no getting around this. Yeah. And so now we're seeing accountability from him, which has been a different step from maybe some of those other incidents. So maybe this is an indication that, hey, he has seen what some of the consequences of his actions can be, and he's moving forward from here.
Well, I know I'm ready to focus on basketball, so let's hope what's done is done, right?
Grizzlies at Heat tonight at 6:30.
All right. Thank you, sir.